Ever felt like you're stuck between two worlds when it comes to psychedelics? On one side, the scientists with their brain scans, charts, and promises of curing mental health. On the other, the spiritual seekers who talk of ego death and universal consciousness. It seems like you have to pick a side in a battle between science and spirituality. Science versus spirituality. The brain versus the soul. Matter versus mind. But what if I told you this entire war is a trick? What if both sides are trapped in the same outdated way of thinking, and the real power of psychedelics is hidden in plain sight? What if the key to unlocking their potential for real, lasting change isn't to become less focused on the material world, but to become more materialist, but in a way that is so weird, so alive, and so magical it will change how you see everything? Today, we are going on a mind-bending intellectual adventure. We're going to be unpacking a brilliant and challenging article from the year 2025. It's called Psychedelics and New Materialism, Challenging the Science-Spirituality Binary and the Onto Epistemological Order of Modernity, and it was written by Mateo Sanchez Petrament. Now, don't let the title intimidate you. Our job today is to translate its powerful ideas into a story we can all understand. This paper is like a key to a hidden door, and behind that door is a completely new way to think about psychedelics, our world, and our place in it. Here's the journey we're going to take together. First, we are going to explore the invisible trap. We'll look at how the modern world taught us to separate everything, our minds from our bodies, humans from nature, science from spirit, and how this way of thinking limits us. We'll see how the 1960s hippies, the Silicon Valley tech visionaries, and even the mainstream scientists all got caught in this trap in their own unique ways. Then, we'll talk about the Great Escape. We'll dive into the incredible idea at the heart of the article, a philosophy called New Materialism. This is the game changer. It's a radical new way of seeing the physical world not as dead, boring stuff, but as a living, intelligent, and interconnected web. And we'll see how this perspective makes sense of those profound psychedelic feelings of connection in a way that is both grounded and awe-inspiring. And finally, we'll arrive at the grand payoff, a spirituality you can actually touch. We'll see how Petrament twists the old rules of science and spirituality into a breathtaking new vision. A vision where science helps us see the magic of the real world, and spirituality is about falling in love with our ordinary, material lives. This is about discovering how psychedelics can help us not just change our own minds, but start to change the very world we live in. So, get comfortable. This isn't just a summary, it's an invitation to think differently. This is for anyone who has ever felt that there's a deeper truth to the psychedelic experience than what we're being told. This is Summary Thought. Part 1. The Invisible Trap We're All In. Before we can talk about the escape, we have to understand the prison. Petrament argues that for the last few hundred years, our modern world has been built on one big, simple idea: separation. We've been taught to slice the world up into pairs of opposites, and to always value one side over the other. Think about it. We separate the mind from the body. We're told our thoughts and consciousness are what's important, while the body is just a fleshy vehicle, something to be controlled or overcome. We separate humans from nature. We're taught that humanity is special, standing above and apart from the natural world, which is just a collection of resources for us to use. We separate reason from emotion, fact from feeling, subject from object. This isn't just an innocent way of organizing things. This system of separation has been used to justify real-world power and inequality. The groups who were historically associated with the lesser half, with the body, with nature, with emotion, like women and indigenous cultures, were seen as less rational, less human, and therefore easier to control and exploit. The entire system is designed to prop up one specific ideal: the independent, rational, disembodied individual who is the master of his own destiny and the world around him. Petrament argues that this mindset is the invisible cage we all live in. And here's his bombshell insight. The popular debate about psychedelics, the one that pits science against spirituality, doesn't challenge this cage. It takes place inside it. Both sides are playing by the old rules of separation. Let's see how. Let's start with the spiritual approach, which found its voice in the 1960s counterculture. The hippies looked at the mainstream world and saw a materialist nightmare of consumerism, war, and soulless competition. So they did the opposite. They turned inward. They used psychedelics to have what they called a non-dual experience, to dissolve their egos and merge with a universal spiritual consciousness. Their goal was to transcend the messy, divided material world and find a pure, spiritual unity. It was a beautiful dream, and it inspired millions. But Petrament points out the hidden flaw. By framing freedom as an escape from the material world, they accidentally reinforced the old mind-over-matter hierarchy. This way of thinking can lead to what's now called spiritual bypassing. That's when you use spiritual ideas like "we are all one" or "it's all an illusion" to avoid dealing with your own real-world problems or, even more critically, the very real suffering and injustice in the world. If you believe the material world isn't what's truly real, it becomes easy to ignore things like poverty, racism, and environmental destruction. The great irony, Petrament suggests, is that the counterculture's spiritual quest was ultimately not material enough. It floated away from the concrete, physical realities that shape our lives and our world. Now, let's fast forward to today and look at a different flavor of psychedelic spirituality, the kind popular with some of the tech visionaries and entrepreneurs of Silicon Valley. These figures embrace science and technology. They talk about psychedelics as tools or spiritual technologies for hacking your own brain, for optimizing your performance, and for achieving a kind of elite, enlightened perspective on the world. This seems different, but Petrament argues it's just the old separation trap in a new, high-tech disguise. It's still all about the individual, the genius savior who can use these tools to rise above the unenlightened masses. It views consciousness as something that can be separated from its messy social and cultural context, reduced to brain chemistry or abstract information. This vision completely ignores the deep social inequalities in the world. In fact, it often reinforces them by creating a new spiritual and technological elite. It's a vision of a few individuals saving themselves, not a vision of everyone rising together. Finally, let's look at the other side of the battlefield, mainstream psychedelic science. This approach seems like the complete opposite of spirituality. It's all about hard facts and objective data. Scientists in this field work hard to isolate the pure effect of a drug molecule. They use methods like the randomized control trial, or RCT, to separate the real chemical effects from the so-called placebo effect, which includes all the messy stuff like a person's beliefs, expectations, and environment. But here's the problem. For psychedelics, that messy stuff is the experience. The whole point of the psychedelic experience is its profound dependence on set and setting, your mindset and your environment. By trying to erase the context, mainstream science risks throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It focuses so intently on the chemical key that it forgets to look at the lock of the person or the room of the environment they are in. It's another form of the separation trap, separating the drug from the person from the world. So we have a real puzzle. The spiritual path risks floating off into the clouds. The scientific path risks reducing a profound human experience to a chemical reaction. Both, in their own way, keep us locked in the modern cage of separation, treating the experience as something that happens entirely inside a person's head, either in their mind or in their brain. Petrament argues that to find a way out, we need to stop trying to fix the cage. We need to find a way to leave it behind entirely. Part 2. The Great Escape, a radical new way of seeing. So, if the old map is wrong, where do we find a new one? Petrament points us to a revolutionary and exciting philosophy he calls new materialism. This is the escape route. The core idea is simple but world-changing. What if we've been completely wrong about what matter, the physical stuff of the universe, actually is? Our modern world taught us that matter is dead. It's dumb, passive, and boring. It's just a pile of bricks or a collection of atoms waiting for a human mind to come along and give it meaning or shape it into something useful. New materialism flips this idea on its head. It says that matter is alive. It's dynamic, intelligent, and even a little bit weird. It's self-organizing. One philosopher calls it vibrant matter. This isn't just a poetic idea. It's a whole new way of looking at reality. Think of it like this. The universe isn't a giant machine made of separate, dead cogs and gears. It's more like a living, breathing forest or a vast, shimmering spider's web. Everything is connected to everything else. A twitch in one corner of the web sends vibrations across the entire structure. Nothing is truly separate. Things only appear separate to us. In reality, they are all part of one continuous, flowing, and ever-changing process. This idea of a living, interconnected reality should sound familiar. It's exactly what so many people report feeling during a psychedelic experience. That sense of oneness, of boundaries dissolving, of communicating with plants or feeling the life force in a rock. New materialism gives us a way to understand these experiences not as a hallucination or a trip to some other spiritual dimension, but as a brief, intense glimpse of the way reality actually is. It suggests that psychedelics can act as a kind of philosophical microscope, allowing us to perceive the deep, vibrant interconnectedness that is always there, but is usually filtered out by our normal, everyday consciousness. Think of your everyday brain as a powerful spam filter for reality. To help you survive and not be overwhelmed, it filters out almost everything and presents you with a simple world of separate objects. Here is the chair, there is the tree, and most importantly, here is me. The article suggests that psychedelics act like a tool that temporarily turns this filter off. When that happens, you aren't creating a hallucination of being connected to the world. You are finally perceiving the deep, vibrant web of interconnectedness that is always there but is normally hidden from your view. So, just as a real microscope reveals a world of cells that was always present but invisible, a psychedelic acts as a philosophical microscope, allowing you to directly experience a deeper, more unified layer of reality that is usually filtered out by your everyday consciousness. This brings us to the most powerful and personal concept in the whole paper, an idea called transcorporeality. It sounds complex, but it's incredibly simple and intimate. It means your body does not end at your skin. We modern people have been taught to think of our bodies as sealed containers, like biological fortresses separate from the world outside. Transcorporeality says this is an illusion. In reality, you are a leaky being. You are porous. You are in a constant, flowing exchange with the world around you. Think about the air you are breathing right now. It flows from the outside world deep into your lungs and becomes a part of you. The food and water you consume were once part of the earth, a plant, or an animal, and now they are literally building your cells. You are constantly absorbing things from your environment: sunlight, sounds, chemicals, microbes. You are not in the world like a marble in a box. You are the world, and the world is you. Your body is a place where the universe is constantly passing through and transforming. Petraman argues that psychedelics make this reality stunningly obvious. When you ingest a psychedelic substance, a mushroom from the earth, a chemical from a lab, you are performing a profoundly transcorporeal act. You are literally taking the outside world and making it inside. This is why psychedelics can be called ecodelics. They reveal our deep ecological connection to everything. They dissolve the fake boundary between self and world and show us that we are, and have always been, a swirling, messy, beautiful part of a much larger whole. This new way of seeing has huge consequences for how we live and how we treat each other. If we are all fundamentally connected in this material web, then there is no real way to throw things. Every action has ripples. Pollution, waste, and violence don't just affect something out there. They eventually come back to affect us, because out there and in here are not truly separate. But while we are all connected, we are not all connected in the same way, and this is a crucial point that saves this idea from becoming another form of spiritual bypassing. Some people's bodies are forced to absorb far more of the world's toxins, violence, and poverty than others. Some people have more power to protect their leaky selves, while others are left dangerously exposed. This perspective doesn't erase difference. It highlights it. It forces us to be accountable for our specific place in the web and to care about the real-world injustices that harm some parts of the web more than others. It gives us a reason to fight for social and environmental justice that is rooted not in abstract ideals, but in the material reality of our shared, entangled existence. Part 3. The Grand Payoff, a spirituality you can touch. So, we've escaped the trap of the old science versus spirituality debate. We have a powerful new way of seeing the world as a living, interconnected web, and ourselves as porous, leaky beings within it. Where does this leave us? This is where Pétrayment delivers his final, beautiful masterstroke. He argues that we don't have to choose between science and spirituality anymore. Instead, we can twist them together into something new, something he calls a material spirituality. This isn't a contradiction. It's a whole new paradigm for living. In this new vision, what is the role of spirituality? It's no longer about escaping the material world to find some purer, higher reality. That's the old way. The new material spirituality is the exact opposite. It is the practice of falling in love with this world, right here and now. It's about learning to pay deep, loving attention to the materiality of our ordinary lives. It's about finding the sacred not in a faraway heaven, but in the ground beneath our feet, in the food we eat, in the air we breathe, and in the faces of the people and creatures around us. Spirituality becomes the practice of becoming sensitive to the magic and wonder of our real, physical, interconnected existence. It's a spirituality you can touch, taste, and feel. And what about science? In this new vision, science is no longer the cold-hearted enemy of wonder, it's a tool for revealing it. Think about it this way. A psychedelic experience can give you the profound, intuitive feeling that you are deeply connected to everything around you. You might look at the sky and feel an overwhelming sense of oneness with the air. It's a powerful, spiritual, but often fleeting insight. In our normal world, it's easy to later dismiss this feeling as just a hallucination. But this is where the new role of science comes in. It steps forward not to debunk your feeling, but to prove it. Science takes that abstract feeling of connection and gives it a concrete, physical blueprint. It can show you, with undeniable data, that the air you're breathing contains particles from a volcano that erupted on the other side of the world, or oxygen produced by algae deep in the ocean. It makes your spiritual insight more tangible. This changes everything for psychedelics. Their ultimate political and social promise is no longer just about changing your consciousness or opening your mind in an abstract way. It becomes about what Pétrayment calls a materialization of critique. This means using the profound sensitivity and awareness gained from psychedelic experiences to see the real-world systems of separation and exploitation that cause so much harm. And then it means getting to work to change those concrete material systems. It's about connecting our personal healing to the healing of our communities and our planet. This is a vision of slow, steady, and profound change. It's not about a violent revolution that repeats the same logic of opposition and division. It's more like a quiet, persistent revolution, slowly diffusing a logic of care, connection, and interdependence into the heart of a world that desperately needs it. But Pétrayment leaves us with one final, crucial warning. This new way of seeing is powerful, but the old world of separation is still strong. It's easy to get lost in the cosmic beauty of it all and forget that there is work to be done. And so he ends his incredible paper with a sentence that serves as both a promise and a caution, a line that we should all remember. For if you open your mind too much, your capacity to change the world might fall out. And that's the journey. A powerful reimagining of what psychedelics can be from Mateo Sanchez Pétrayment's article, Psychedelics and New Materialism. It's an invitation to step outside the tired old debates and to embrace a vision that is both magically expansive and deeply grounded in the real world. If this exploration has sparked something in you, if it has challenged you to think in a new way, please help us grow this conversation. Give this video a like, subscribe to Summary Thought for more deep dives into big ideas, and most importantly, share this with a friend who you think is ready to hear it. We'd love to read your thoughts and reflections in the comments. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. Until next time, stay curious.